Welcome back to G Fun Facts Online, where today we're diving into a discovery that's literally rewriting the rulebook on how life spreads across our planet. Imagine if there was one simple, universal principle that could explain why we find certain animals and plants in specific places. Whether it's a bustling rainforest, a vast savanna, or even the deep ocean. Well, scientists might have just found it. For centuries, ecologists have puzzled over what truly dictates where species live, with creatures that fly, crawl, swim, or stay rooted. And with countless different environments, you'd expect a super complex, almost chaotic answer, right? Different rules for different places, different species, but a massive new study, looking at over 30,000 species, from tiny insects to giant mammals across all sorts of habitats, has uncovered something astounding, a consistent pattern everywhere. They're calling it a core-to-periphery pattern. Think of it like this. In every distinct region on Earth, most species, the vast majority, are packed into small, ideal areas. These are the cores or hotspots. These core areas, even if they only make up about 30% of a region's total space, can be home to around 90% of its species. That's an incredible concentration of life. From these bustling cores, species gradually spread outwards into what are called periphery or transition zones. But as you move further from the core, the conditions get tougher, and fewer species can make a living there. This isn't just a one-off. They saw this core-to-edge organization in tropical rainforests, arid savannas, and even deep-sea environments. A universal blueprint for life's layout. So what's the magic behind this universal pattern? The researchers point to a powerful force called environmental filtering. It sounds a bit technical, but the idea is pretty straightforward. The non-living conditions of a place, things like temperature, rainfall, soil type, saltiness in the water, or how high up a mountain you are, act like gatekeepers. Only species that have the right tools, the right traits, to handle those specific local conditions can pass through the filter and survive. If a plant can't handle frost, it's filtered out of cold alpine regions. If an animal can't take the heat, it won't be found in a scorching desert lowland. This filtering process essentially sorts species. While environmental filtering has been a known concept in ecology for ages, this new study provides the first really strong, worldwide evidence showing just how dominant it is across so many different life forms and ecosystems. It seems there are two main ways these filters work. Within those rich core areas, the environment is pretty much perfect, allowing tons of different species to thrive together. These cores are like biodiversity powerhouses. Then, at the edges of these regions, the environmental filter gets stricter. Conditions become harsher, and only the toughest species from the core, the ones with the right adaptations, can persist. This discovery isn't just a cool piece of science trivia. It has huge implications. First, it means that the distribution of life might be more predictable than we thought. If we understand the rules, we can better guess how ecosystems will respond to big changes, like climate change or habitat loss. If the environment shifts, those core and edge zones could shift too, and some species might lose their homes entirely. Second, and this is massive for conservation, it tells us exactly where we need to focus our efforts. Protecting those relatively small, species-rich core areas is now a top priority. If these cores hold 90% of a region's species, safeguarding them is an incredibly efficient way to protect biodiversity. It's about protecting the engines of life, not just individual species here and there. Third, it refines how ecologists think about biodiversity. It suggests that these fundamental environmental factors are a common denominator shaping life everywhere, maybe even as important as things like how new species evolve or how existing ones go extinct when we look at local species richness. And finally, it gives us a new lens on biodiversity hotspots. We often think of hotspots as unique places with rare species under threat. But this research shows that every bioregion has its own internal hotspots, these core areas that are vital for maintaining life, everywhere. Now, environmental filtering doesn't happen in a bubble. Of course, other things matter, like whether a species can even reach a suitable habitat, or how it interacts with other species through competition or predation. But the strength of this core-to-periphery pattern across the globe really points to environmental filtering as a primary architect of biodiversity at a grand scale. This breakthrough is a shining example of what we can learn when we combine huge datasets with powerful computing. By looking at so much information together, scientists can see these giant patterns that were hidden before. Understanding this universal rule for how life organizes itself gives us a vital framework for navigating our planet's future, especially with all the environmental challenges we face. The message is pretty clear. If we want to protect the rich tapestry of life, we need to understand and secure its most vibrant, essential parts, those crucial core areas. Thanks for tuning into G Fun Facts Online, and we'll catch you next time with more fascinating insights.